Welcome to Red Sky Pods and a European Super League exclusive. Obviously, today, people, we've got notification that 6 Premier League clubs are starting to take into consideration breaking away and forming a European Super League. They've written a letter of intent. Ian and I will attempt to break that down tonight. By all means, if you're viewing, please send in your comments. We'll answer your questions best we can. We'll take your comments and we'll read them out best we can. But this is a hot topic and we need to talk about it. So let's go.
I'm a bit overwhelmed by it, Steve. I always thought something like this had come, but the way it's come around, there's just been no considerations of fans at all whatsoever. We knew FSG were in it for the money. We're stone supporters of FSG. We've never been FSG out. This just seems wrong, Steve. It doesn't seem right. I don't want to be in a competition where I don't have to qualify, where I don't need to be good enough to be in it because I'm a founding member. It just doesn't sit right with me. And for me, I'm all about domestic football. I love European football. I love winning the Champions League. But it's all about the Premier League for me first. And before then, it was the First Division. A question I'd love to ask you, Steve, is how do you think Twitter would have reacted if it was around when the Premier League was announced?
Similarly, I would imagine, because it was giving notice to your average football fan, the working class man, that football is now going to be a business as opposed to a sport. And with that comes the pitfalls of moving from the sport into a business. So greater requirement for revenue, greater commercial pressure, football kits prices going through the roof, football kits released every single year, 3 football kits released a year. This is like a snowball gathering momentum down a hill, mate, basically. What this is about owners reaching a level where they can't make any more money out of a football club. So what do? They're going to have a conversation with whoever else is at the table from Europe. This is quite far advanced. You don't let this known if you've not got things like an infrastructure in place behind the scenes, if you've got a potential TV deal behind the scenes. There's too much ambiguity. If you don't have all these things sorted out, you can't release a letter of intent with ambiguity. You have to know what you're doing. You have to have a plan. You have to have a contingency for it. You need to know who's in it, how the format is, who's going to host it on the TV channels, because that's what's coming. That it will happen at some point. It's got to happen at some point.
So, say you talk about TV channels there, and we've seen Gary Neville's reaction tonight on air to the European Super League. So, if Sky were involved in this and channels have been sounded out about it, would Sky have let him say that tonight?
I think Sky have known about this for some time, mate, and I think Sky have tried to distance themselves from it. Why wouldn't they? They wouldn't want to sit around the table and negotiate for the TV rights again, would they? So I think Sky are very negative towards this, because there are other TV companies out there that will pay big bucks for a European Super League. Look at the contract that was awarded to Cancelo, the boxer, the Mexican guy who beat Cancelo, is it? The guy who beat Triple G a couple of times. That's the biggest contract ever given to a boxer because it's TV rights. So they'll do the same with football. Sky not the all-encompassing, all-powerful TV broadcaster anymore. There are other people that would be interested in this. Just on the point that's come on the screen there now, yes, Newcastle have allegedly joined the party and come to the table as a potential 7th Premier League team, but that's just rumour at the moment. It's not been confirmed, as far as I'm aware. If anyone knows different, feel free to tell us. All you need to say about that is Mike Ashley. Mike Ashley is motivated by money, so it would make sense for Newcastle to be at the table if that was the case, wouldn't it?
Well, apparently Newcastle were approached, and it wasn't Newcastle approached them with the rumours I'm seeing. But I could see why it would happen the other way as well, because although Newcastle don't win any trophies, not even a lot, any trophies, they've got massive stadium and they've got a massive fan base. So if they can get a Newcastle team and fan base on side, then it only says good things about the European Super League, really. So we mentioned this before on the show where we had our gremlins. So I'm going to ask you the same question again. You have been, and we as a show have been massive, staunch defenders of FSG against the FSG out brigade. Has this changed your mind now, Ste? Could you possibly now be FSG out?
I'd like an explanation. It's the right thing to do to come forward and make a statement. I think we all know what the explanation will be. We've had no fans in the stadium now for 12 months. That's sort of circa £4 million for every home game that the club's lost in revenue. Is this football protecting itself in terms of any future pandemics, any future lockdowns, where the fans' revenue isn't the main driver of the cash that comes into the club anymore? Is it a change in emphasis? Is it a move away from having fans in the grounds? They'll always do that because there'll always be corporate. There'll always be the diehard fans that do come week in, week out. Is this a move more towards a virtual platform where the revenue is made from online subscribers and TV subscriptions? Because there's not many people who can afford to go to Madrid one week, Paris the following week, Turin for Juventus the week after that, and then Milan, and then back to Barcelona, and then you've got a game down in London potentially. So is this a move away from football as we know it? That's got to be a question that has to come into mind.
A lot of things I've seen from Liverpool fans is that Klopp would be totally against this. This is everything that Klopp dislikes and doesn't want to be a part of. Surely, if it's this far down the road, surely Jurgen Klopp knows about this, Steve.
This isn't the first time this has been mentioned, and this isn't the first time Jurgen Klopp's come out and said similar comments. Like, I think he said, who wants to play Real Madrid 10 years straight? Unfortunately, Jurgen Klopp, as good a manager as he is, and we love him to bits, and we want him to stay forever, that goes without saying, he's not the guy tasked with putting money in the tills. He's not the guy tasked with making revenue for FSG. He's the guy who is tasked with making sure we've got a competitive team on the pitch. We're at a situation now in our club where if it's not Jurgen Klopp, and God forbid, and it's somebody else, the club can carry on without him. He's made us into winners. He's changed our mentality. We've talked about this before. He's changed the way Liverpool think. He's brought a new mentality to us. We can go and win trophies now. At some point in the future, we've got to ready ourselves for him coming to the end of his contract and moving on. That's going to happen. That's inevitable. We will carry on without him. FSG are looking at this thinking, how can they maximise their revenue? I put on Twitter recently, with FSG and Liverpool Football Club, it's always been about the dollar, and that is exactly where we're at right now.
Is there any way that this European League, Super European League, can be stopped, or do you think it's done now? Do you reckon it's going to happen?
Fans can stop it. Fans can boycott it. Fans can stop going to the games. What's the point of coming to the end of the season and open up the floodgates, allowing all the fans back in? There's an infrastructure in place for European League, and then 40, 50,000 fans turn up. The problem we've got, Ian, is there's people that take to social media to say, I'm not having this. And you've seen some of the comments here now. I'm disgusted. I think it's a disgrace. They're not thinking about the fans. But for every one of them, there's 3 fans who will happily buy a ticket because they've never been to Anfield before, because it becomes more corporate, it becomes more of a sort of a special occasion thing rather than the what's the word I'm looking for, the lifeblood being 40,000 season ticket holders and then the tourists. American sport is about tourism. American sport is about franchises and revenue. And I think, unfortunately, if this happens, that's the way European football is going to go.
If it does happen, and taking into account me and you are both Reds, and the European Super League goes ahead, is there any way Liverpool cannot be part of it? And would you be interested in Liverpool saying, no, I don't want to know?
First of all, Liverpool Football Club, as you quite rightly alluded to earlier on today, spent 30 years catching up because they didn't plan for the future. There's no way Liverpool Football Club can't be at that table, not with the owners we've got. Manchester City don't need the money because they've got owners of a different level, but they will still take part in it anyway because that's the way football's going to evolve. I do genuinely believe this will happen at some point. Maybe not now, but it'll only be put in a back burner until the future. The clubs hold the cards, the clubs have the power. So UEFA ban and FIFA ban all the players in the European Super League from their tournaments. So what? What will happen then? It's a mad. I was thinking about it before. They'll have their own tournament, and you'll be able to represent the country that you play in. So, like England would probably be able to have. And it sounds mad, but it's not if you think about it. England could probably have an English team of players who play in England, France, French, Spanish, Italian, and do it that way. Because if you look at international football at the moment, you're not a lover of it, neither am I. I know lots of people who don't invest in international football anymore because club football's taken over. So imagine having a team of superstars from the Premier League playing in a worldwide tournament as the Premier League, and then another one from Italy, another one from Spain. We won't get in the way of this. We're only prolonging it. We're only putting it off for a time. These clubs know what they want. They don't want UEFA to have the power. They don't want FIFA to have the power. They're not bothered about the threats they're making. Those teams can't be banned. If you're UEFA and you're thinking about in 6 top teams out of England, 4 top teams out of Spain, 4 top teams out of Italy, a couple of top teams out of Germany. By the way, I read Bayern Munich are not keen on this, so fair play to them. What credibility has your tournament got if you've not got any of those players or any of those clubs? And as that European Super League evolves, the better players are going to emanate towards that anyway, because that's where the money is, that's where the kudos is, and the other competition that's left just becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. So what it is a shot across the bows from UEFA, and I firmly believe they will ban the teams that get involved. I'm not sure it'll have the desired effect, but I think they will. And the second part, mate, is I will always support Liverpool, irrespective of what tournament they play in. I won't invest in it the way that I did. Local football will probably become more prominent to people if that happens in and around your club, wouldn't it? I think we need to make a stand. We need to stop going to football matches. We need to have a fans campaign, all stand together, whatever you want to call it, or where we just basically come together as rivalries aside and we stop the Moneyball owners taking control of a game that my dad, your dad, my dad's dad, and all the people of the last 150 years have fought really, really hard to keep on the straight and narrow and keep out the clutches of Moneyball men. And unfortunately, it looks like it's on the horizon.
Did the Premier League not cause this with the way they have? I mean, we're talking today about greed in the game, and like it's a new thing, like it's just come up today because of the European Super League. Did Premier League not make their own bed by letting the likes of Man City be overtook by oil-rich owners, by letting Chelsea be owned by oil-rich owners, by letting United do the PLC back in the days when it wasn't even thought of? Did the Premier League not create this?
Of course they did. Of course they did. And what's happening now is the clubs have found a way to outgrow what the Premier League offers. Clubs will not be happy with VAR as it's running at the moment. Really, there won't be. There's no sort of plans, or certainly no documented plans to review that and change it. So if the clubs go and create their own footballing empire, they call the shots, not UEFA, not FIFA, not the FA, not the Premier League. What happens is that this started in '92 when they said, right, let's get Sky involved and make this a massive, big commercial thing, and 5 games on a week, and football will go from there to there in 2 years. Evolution means at some point you have to take it on and move it on forward. And imagine how much someone like DAZN would pay for that contract to exclusively show European Super League. Imagine how much they would pay for those TV rights, and imagine the slice of the cake the football clubs get, because we may see another pandemic, we may see another lockdown. But, can the clubs afford to write off, I don't know, £80 million plus match day sales every year that we have a pandemic? It's a lot of money. Maybe, as I said before, maybe it's moving more towards a virtual platform where you get to watch your team playing in Madrid or wherever, like I said before, online or through a TV subscription. But it is the way that the clubs are thinking. And as I say, it's only putting it off for a period of time. Something will evolve, something will change. The clubs have got the power.
And one thing that I didn't think of, and I've only thought of while I've been chatting to you there, is like United and City will still have their derby if it goes ahead. Spurs and Arsenal will still have their derby. We won't have ours anymore because Everton won't be in the European Super League, which I find real sad, and I think really destroys what football is all about. What's your thoughts on that, Steve?
It's a good point. Our city was originally underpinned by our trade through the docks, and then through music, and then football joined the party. Liverpool and Everton, okay, in recent years it's been a bit more toxic than we would like. But over the years, there's been a real strong sense of rivalry. We went out in Wellesby on a couple of weeks ago and we spoke about that situation where they travelled to Wembley together. Unfortunately, somebody has to miss out. Somebody's going to be upset. Something is going to break in doing this. And unfortunately, at this moment in time, Everton wouldn't be first choice to go in that. They're not in the 6/7. They've got an owner who can make them join the 6/7. They've got plans afoot for a stadium. I know we mock it, we laugh and stuff like that, but there's a very real proposition that they may have a stadium in the docks. They've got an infrastructure in place. They've got the finances to do that. How do they do that? Do they overachieve in sort of a revitalised Premier League and win it a few years in a row, and in the Super League go, okay, we can't afford not to have Everton involved, and then the derby comes back? It will change football as you and I know it forever. Sadly, it will spoil the football that you and I know forever because the romance of Crewe coming to Anfield in the FA Cup will have gone. I know the FA Cup doesn't have the prestige that it did, but those little clubs need the giants of the English football. That, as Gary Neville said before, your championship, your football below your tiered football, your grassroots football will all be negatively affected by this. The problem we've got is you have to ask yourself who owns your club, and then you have to ask yourself why do they own your club? And they don't own your club because they want to see you lifting trophies. They own your club because they want to get revenue from it. They want to make money from it. And it's wrong, absolutely disgraceful.
Well, that was my next question, and you sort of danced over it, but I'd like you to go into a bit more detail. So, what would this mean for the clubs below the Premier League? I know we spoke about the likes of Everton and stuff, but what does it mean for your Championship teams and your EFL teams? What happens there?
Straight away, all your prize money disappears. Sponsors are not going to sponsor the Premier League the way they do without the top sides in there. Your TV revenue goes down because you don't have a product that is sexy and captivates your audience. So all that has a knock-on effect in terms of how. So, like I said before, Crewe get to the 6th round of the FA Cup. It's all Manchester United. They go to Manchester United. They get a big windfall. They get cash that keeps them going for the next season. That's gone with the clubs that are going that potentially would go to join the Super League. That's absolutely finished with. It's appalling. It's really shocking. There's plans afoot to make the Premier League support the rest of the league in terms of payments to the Football League, in terms of payments to grassroots. Maybe that is part of the conversation that's caused this to happen. Maybe the fat cats, the 6 fat cats, and they are a disgrace, my own club included. Maybe those guys want so much of the cake they're not happy to give it to the smaller clubs. And I think that's abysmal because I've played Sunday Parks football, I've played county football, I've had a go at playing a bit higher than that. But at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're breaking down, we're taking away an institution. English football is an institution. The FA Cup's the oldest tournament in the world. What we're doing with our grassroots clubs is saying to them, don't worry about you guys, we've got our own plan, you don't matter. And absolutely they do. Of course they do. It's escapism for everybody, whether you support Plymouth Argyle, Tranmere Rovers or Liverpool or Manchester United. When you go to the match, you get to forget about all of your worries, all of the things in your life that test you and challenge you, and you immerse yourself in what's in front of you for the match day experience. For the smaller clubs, with the revenue disappearing and the opportunity to play against the big clubs disappearing, where does that end up? Where do they end up? How can they facilitate that?
I'm going to give you some power here, Steve. You're in charge of the Premier League. What do, Steve? Do you go to your big 6 and beg them to come back and beg them to change their mind? Or do you say, cheerio, we'll see what we do without you?
you hope and pray that FIFA and UEFA's sanctions against those clubs makes them think twice. You would sit down with them, you would try to negotiate, because we've got arguably the greatest football brand in the world right now, and we have had for some years. That's massively under threat, massively under threat. To go out of control to 6 board members or 12 board members sat in a conference room somewhere deciding the future of football. They've no right to take that decision. They've no right to decide what's good for English football. And most importantly of all, they've no right to decide what's right for the fans. So yes, the Premier League have to do something about this. What they do, I don't know. I don't think Gary Neville's suggestion of fining clubs and taking points off them, because the moment you fine a club or take some points off, the step towards the European Super League becomes a reality, because they won't allow that.
What do you think would do? Because this is based on nothing but greed. This is pure greed. So what do you do? Do you offer them more money to stay? Do you offer them a bigger cut of TV broadcast money? What is it that you do? And as a football fan, and particularly a Liverpool fan, would you feel happy taking that money, that you were taking money from teams down below, not just in the Premier League but in other leagues? Would you feel comfortable with that?
No, not at all. If they want to save money, stop paying the likes of super agents £40 million a season for the deals that they set up. Keep that money in house. Do something else. Do something different to recover your revenue. Don't hit the fans where it hurts. Don't destroy the English football game. If they sit down with the Premier League and they negotiate a different package with different payments, different rights, different TV money, that's evolution, and you won't stop that. That's a very different proposition to jumping on a plane and flying to another country every week to play football where it's not accessible. It would be home fans only, pretty much. There would be a few that could afford to do it, and do you know what? That'd be a great experience for them. But for the average fan like you and me, that, match day's £100 plus, mate. To go and do that abroad, it's £300-400, isn't it? So it's tough, mate. It's tough. It's a situation where something's got to be done, because the threat is very real and it's on the table in front of them, and to do nothing would be really remiss. So there's got to be some negotiation to try and stop this. But whatever way you look at this, whether there's negotiation with the Premier League or they go and do a European Super League, the clubs are grabbing power. That's what the clubs are trying to do. They're trying to grab the power. And I've always said, when we've had discussions, the governing bodies are not in charge of football. The clubs are. The chairman are.
How much of an effect does the recent use of VAR and the poor performance, we have to say, definitely Premier League referees, affect the big clubs' decisions at present?
Not really, not at the moment, because if you look at VAR, as mad as it is and the things that they get wrong, it swings and roundabouts. There's not an agenda against one club. So what works for you one week doesn't work for you the next week. So it evens itself out over the course of the season. Where it might be interesting is, let's say on the last day of the season, when there's 2 teams fighting for Champions League, or worse still, 2 teams fighting to stay in the Premier League, and there's a massive decision that's incorrect, a massive problem. That's where the revenue hits us. We're not privy to the plans. We don't know if there's a plan to use the European VAR system, which seems to be much more effective than the current one in the Premier League. I don't think VAR drives this. I think money in the bank drives this.
Just want to look at this guy's comment here. This is so dumb. Like, after 3 years of playing these teams all the time will become boring. Now, me and you are huge fans of the Champions League. Liverpool fans in general are. I know there's a few English clubs that just didn't seem to take to heart, like Man City. How different will it be playing Real Madrid every week, like Jurgen Klopp spoke about, and playing Barcelona every week? Does that effectively kill the excitement in football? Does it just become another sport then?
It changes the idea of drawing them in the Champions League and sitting there going, "Who are we going to get? Who are we going to get? Oh no, we got Real Madrid, like we see." To, next week we're away at Barcelona, and then the following week we're off to Juve, and then the week after that we're off to whoever. It becomes normal, so it takes away the excitement of the Champions League. It will be Champions League will feel like an everyday thing, and I'm not. No, I wouldn't say I'm not convinced. And I'm pretty sure in my mind it's not a good thing. Not a good thing for football because what happens after that? 10 years time when that's run its course, where did it go then?
If this doesn't go through, and by some miracle, and let's play it doesn't go through, in my opinion, and I'm guessing yours, how do the big six come back from this? Will they effectively be tainted by the fact that they've made this decision? And on the back of that, Steve, once you've answered that question, I'd like you to answer a similar question in, are FSG now tainted because of this decision they've made with Liverpool fans, and will they recover from that?
Oh, they're all tainted, all of them. Absolutely, their reputation's in ruins, and rightly so. I love my football club. Right now, I despise my owners. Let's get that right. I despise what they're trying to do. I thought it was bad when they tried to trademark the name Liverpool. That city's been around for hundreds of years. Fancy trying to trademark the name Liverpool. So this comes as no surprise to me. I'm quite open-minded and read a bit of stuff, and I've read quite a lot on FSG. I know what they're about. I've spoken about this many times with you. They're not in this for you and me to go and stand down at the Strand and cheer the bus as it goes past with the Champions League trophy on the back of it. That is a unique, marvellous feeling for us fans. That is like nothing else. We've been fortunate to do it a number of times over the years because we've had a successful team. They're not interested in that. They're just interested in the balance sheet at the end of the day. At what point can they add further value to Liverpool Football Club? At what point can Manchester United add further value to Manchester United Football Club? Look at the owners. I keep saying this. Look at the owners. Look at who they are and what they are. They're businessmen. They're not sportsmen. They're businessmen.
Spot on, Steve. I couldn't disagree with anything you said there. So we're coming up to half an hour now. So we'll wrap up in a second. But I've sort of asked this question anyway, but I want you to ask it again, Christian. Where do we go from here from today? What happens? Does this go ahead? Does this go ahead next season? Does it go ahead in 2 seasons? Or do you think it'll be stopped?
It'll be put on the back burner for a bit. There'll be an uproar, and rightly so. Social media's in meltdown at the moment with fans calling their clubs out, and rightly so, and they should. And they should say what they need to say, and the clubs need to listen to the fans. The fans need to come together, and next season, when they open the doors to the fans, if this is on the cards, don't go to the games. Empty stadiums, guys. Vote with your feet. Don't just boycott it. It's a disgrace. If you're one of the top 6 clubs, there's 4 being named, 2 that are unnamed. That will come out in due course. If you're a fan of those clubs, as hard as it is, as difficult it is to not go and watch your team play, don't do it. Because all you're doing is saying it's okay for them to change the face of English football, for them to change the face of your match day experience. Get back in your groove, go into the game, and then in 12 months' time, you can't do it because it's a European Super League and it's a corporate-driven event. Look at the Super Bowl. Look at the Super Bowl, how many adverts they have and how many commercial elements are in the Super Bowl. We've got American owners. United have got American owners. City have got an Arab owner that at the end of the day, they do want a little bit of return for their investment. City being much more prudent with their transfer window. Roman Abramovich has spent so much money on Chelsea. So much of his money's gone on Chelsea. At some point, he's going to want a little bit back for that. So where does it go? It will happen. How soon? I don't know. Hopefully not anytime soon. This is just another quantum leap towards the clubs taking control of football. FIFA and UEFA don't matter anymore. They're not interested. They will take control of them.
How lucky are they, Steve, that Liverpool will not have a crowd in the stadium tomorrow?
I don't think it would be an issue tomorrow, mate. I think it's a very working class club. I think the fans recognise that. I know we walked out when the ticket prices went up. I would expect the things I've said about boycotting and making the Spirit of Shankly and people like that will come to the fore in this situation. I don't think there'll be a fallout tomorrow. I think there's more miles in this. There's more to be said. Statements to come out from the football clubs, 6 of them, and potentially if what we're saying about Newcastle, then I don't think there'll be an issue tomorrow if there are fans in the ground because right now, whilst we've got what we've got, we need to back it and support it. Until it changes, or until we know it's going to change, or until it looks like it's going to change, that's when the fans need to kick into action and do their piece.
So what you're saying really is love the game we've got now, show people that we love the game that we've got now, and hopefully it won't change.
Yeah, don't give up, don't give in, keep the fight going. Take to social media, tell your clubs what you think of what they're doing. Tell the Sky Sports that you agree with Gary, that I agree with everything Gary Neville said. It's a little bit hypocritical coming from Sky because there's many people out there, I don't, there's many people out there who pay £100 a month for Sky services. Really? £100 a month to watch television channels? £1,200 a year? It's not cheap, is it? They've been taking money off fans since they went big in 1992. So it's a little bit hypocritical for those guys to be jumping on their high horse. Comes from a good place. Don't get me wrong, it comes from a good place. But there's lots of mileage left in this. There's lots of comments. There's lots and lots to be said about this, and I don't think this is the start of it. This is just the beginning of the uproar and the media reaction and the ex-players and the fans' reactions, and those are the things that will stop it. So don't accept it. You have to challenge it.
So you listen to Steve. Get on Twitter, get on Facebook, get on whatever you're subscribing, and type them that you're not happy, because we're not happy with this at all, Steve. And I don't think people need. I think you told them your feelings, Steve. But me and Steen, I don't think any Liverpool fan is happy with this. Our club. This is not what our club stands for, Steve, is it? The long and short of it, this is everything anti-Liverpool. Am I right in saying that, Steve?
Correct.
So I think we'll wrap up there, Steve. I think we've said all there is to say on the matter for now, because nothing is fully confirmed. I'm pretty sure at some point we'll come back to this and we'll do another show. And if you've liked what you see today, come back, join us, comments again, subscribe to our YouTube channel, pop on over to Twitter, follow at Red Sky Pod to turn on those notifications, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me, Steve.
Cheers, Ian. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching and thanks for commenting. Can't do this without you. Thank you.